चारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिधर धारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिधर धारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानन्दनं व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरवनचारी यमुनातीरवनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर श्री प्रभुपाद की आनंद कोटि वैष्णवंद की हरिना नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से गौर श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तविंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की तुलसी देवी की भक्ति देवी की समवेत भक्तविंद की All glories to the Assembled Devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the Assembled Devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the Assembled Devotees, Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from chapter 6, text 41, Bhagavad Gita as it is. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvatihi samaha suchinam Shrimatam Gehi Yoga Bhashto Bhijayate Prapya Punya Kritam Lokan Ushitva Shashvati Samaha Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Vijayate Prapya Punya Kritam Lokan Ushitva Shashvati Samaha Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Vijayate Prapya punya kritam lokan Shritva shashvati samah Suchinang shrimatam gehe Yoga bhrashto vijayate. Please repeat. Prapya punyam kritam lokam Ushitva shashvati samaha Suchinam srimatam gehe Yoga bhrashto vijayate.
Prapya punya kritam lokam Ushitva shashvati samaha Shushinam shrimatam gehe Yoga brashto bhijayate.
Prapya punya kritam lokam Ushitva shashvati samaha Shuchinam shrimatam gehe Yoga bhrashto bhijayate.
Yoga brashto bhijayate.
Prapya punya kritam lokam
Prapya punya kritam lokam
Ushitva shashvati samaha
Ushitva shashvati samaha
Shuchinam shrimatam gehe
Suchinam srimatam gehe
Yoga bhrashto bhijayate. Prapya punya kritam lokam
Prapya punya kritam lokam
Ushitva shashvati samaha
Ushitva shashvati samaha
Shuchinam shrimatam gehe
Shushinam shrimatam gehe
Yoga bhrashto bhijayate.
Yoga brashto vijayate.
Okay, Mataji.
Prapya punya kritam lokam Ushitva shashvati samaha Shushinam shrimatam gehe Yoga brashto vijayate. Prapya punya kritam lokam Ushitva shashvati samaha Shushinam shrimatam gehe Yoga brashto vijayate.
Prapya punyam kritam lokam Suchinam shrimatam
Shushinam shrimatam gehe Yoga brashto vijayate.
Okay. Okay. Prapya, after achieving punya of those who performed pious activities, lokan, planets, ushitva, after dwelling, shashvatihi, many, samaha, years, suchinam, of the pious, shimatam, of the prosperous, gehi, in the house, yoga bhrashtaha, one who has fallen from the path of self-realization, abhijayate, takes his birth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: the unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Purport: the unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is fallen after very little progress, and one is fallen after long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the goes to the higher planets, where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, one is sent back again to this planet to take birth in the family of righteous Brahmana, Vaishnava, or of the aristocratic merchants. The purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and who fail because of material allurements are allowed, by the grace of the Lord, to make full utilization of their material propensities. And after that, they are given opportunity to live prosperous lives in righteous or aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunita Meena Tasmai Shri Nama Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapita Meena Bhutali Swayam Prabhakadamayam Datati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Sadam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savaditam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shiv Shakantitam He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinamanta Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusite Devi Pranamami Haripriya Anjakapadarubhishcha Kripa Sindhubhya Vichapatitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarina Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Bhagavan Tiner Smarana Hoy Vigna Vinashanaya Nijavanchita Purana. So in this chapter 6, as we've been going through, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is defining a few things, the practice of yoga. Now he's coming into the fallen yogi, speaking of, because Arjuna asked this very amazing question that surprisingly everyone else asks. Anybody that joins the Krishna consciousness movement asks this question: what happens if I'm unsuccessful in this regard of succeeding in my spiritual life? What if I can't do it and I return back into my material life? Krishna gives the assurance that on this path there is no loss or diminution, because one who performs bhakti yoga for some time, even for some time, he attains that, you could say, transcendental profit in his transcendental bank account, which he never loses, and is again allowed another opportunity in another life, whether it's next life or a few lives after that, allowed a good opportunity to take up devotional service again. So here, Krishna speaks about what happens to those who do not make it, with those who do not complete their process of devotional service, or they do not come to the platform of perfection in their devotional service. Not just the platform of perfection, but those specifically who have material desires. Because there's those who may not come to the platform of perfection, but they may not particularly be full of material desires, like what is being stated here. Those who they want to enjoy in the heavenly planets. Just like my spiritual master was speaking, that there was this devotee, I believe in Bengal, he would openly say, yeah, well, I'm performing devotional service to go to the heavenly planets. Why are you performing devotional service? So I can go to the heavenly planets and enjoy. I know that if I just chant Hare Krishna, that's the easiest way to do that. I don't have to go and perform all these sacrifices and go and do all of this. He can just chant Hare Krishna, serve a little bit, and he's guaranteed a spot in the heavenly planets. Krishna guarantees that. There's no doubt about it. So if one wants to enjoy in this material world, then it's very easy to do so through devotional service. It can be really easily granted upon you. You really want enjoyment, then come to the Krishna consciousness movement. You really want material enjoyment, then those who are intensely dragged by that, those who come, they can also get such a position. That's why we have the verse one. What is that? How does that start? Whether one has full of material desire, akama sarva kama vamokshi kama udardihi tivrena bhakti yogena, and then yajata purusham param. That this is the highest instruction, is the highest thing to do, is that whether one is full of material desire, one has no desire at all, or one has desire for liberation, what should he do? He should perform devotional service. Tivrena bhakti yogina. Why? Because on that path, there is no loss or diminution. Of course, when one comes to the path of devotional service, one starts to understand, okay, actually this is devoid of jnana karmadya anavritam. That this is devoid of jnana and karma. That this is devoid of want for knowledge and want for punya. This karma. It should be devoid of that. Pure devotional service. How does that start again? Anyavilashita sunyam jnana karmadya anavritam anukulena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttamam. So that highest platform of devotional service is to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead without desire for knowledge and pious activities, without desire for material pious activities or acquiring piety. So this punya kritam is one of those who performed pious activities. So, but Krishna still allows such a position for people to come in and perform those because it's better than worshipping demigods. Because Krishna, those who worship the demigods, their intelligence is stolen by illusion. But those who worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whether it is full of material desire or desire even for liberation or no desire at all, they will be granted the platform of perfection eventually. That's why Krishna in the 12th chapter speaks about different platforms of devotional service. He starts with, well, you should always think of me and engage your intelligence in me, right? And then he says, well, if you cannot do that, perform the regulative principles of devotional service. And if you cannot do that, then just work for me. And if you can't do that, then just renounce your fruits of activities. And Prabhupada's, purport is, gradually it's explaining each person. And if you cannot do that, then just acquire knowledge. But higher than knowledge is meditation. Higher than knowledge is renunciation. So Krishna, he doesn't just speak on the platform of pure devotional service. Okay, you have to be a pure devotee. Yes, that is true. But he also speaks for those who can't come up to that platform due to this being intensely dragged by material desire. So, even that's why the Bhagavatam speaks about that. Those who are we see those devotees on the platform of material desire, like Dhruva Maharaj, completely full of material desire. Why is he worshipping Vishnu? For the sake of acquiring a kingdom. That has nothing to do, there's nothing spiritual about it. He went to the full purpose, fully determined, one-pointed attention, tivrena bhakti yogena. Tivrena karma is just full, okay, I just want like my kingdom. I want to show to my dad that, or my stepmother that I attained this position. That he got a kingdom greater than Lord Brahma's. So even we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam that such persons, they worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But what is the result of that? What is the result of those who worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this attitude of, well, let me just get material. Let me see here. Sorry. Let me just get material assets. Let me just endeavor for just this material thing. The Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about this extensively. Now, I think I've lost the quotes that I had pulled up. Okay, so here in the prescribed duties of mankind in the 6th canto, I think this is the Prachetas? Is that?
No, 6th canto is not.
Sorry.
7th canto is all about that.
Who speaks here in this? This is 16. It's King Chitraketu meets the Supreme Lord. Okay, so here it is explained, O Supreme Lord, if persons obsessed with material desire for sense gratification through material opulence worship you, who are the source of all knowledge and are all transcendental to material qualities, they are not subjected to material rebirths, just as sterilized or fried seeds do not produce plants. Living entities are subjected to the repetition of birth and death because they are conditioned by material nature. But since you are transcendental, one who is inclined to associate with you in transcendence escapes the condition of material nature. So that even persons obsessed with material desire for sense gratification through material opulence worship you. So it's not that only pure devotees worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is made very clear throughout the Bhagavad Gita, and that is made very clear throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, pure devotional service is granted unto those who have an affection for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who just consider the Supreme Personality of Godhead the absolute truth. So here we see even those materialists who are obsessed with that material desire, they worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now the way Srila Prabhupada has trained us is so amazing that for us, outside of pure devotional service, nothing exists. That's the amazing aspect of this Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, is pure devotional service is being hammered onto us by Rupa Goswami, our Acharya, Rupa Nugas. Therefore, we are known as Rupa Nugas. There's a whole lecture on why we don't call ourselves Chaitanyaites, followers of Lord Chaitanya. We call ourselves followers of Rupa Goswami, because he reveals unto us the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, Rupa Goswami has laid out the path of pure devotional service, and our acharyas have given that to us. And so that is, it is the only way to perform devotional service. But outside of that, there is a whole realm of devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who are just full of material desires. And for us, as we understand through our acharyas, this is not devotional service at all. But it can be seen in the works of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam that even those people, they attain perfection eventually. It's not that they may attain perfection now within this lifetime, as it is very clear in this verse that they get the opportunity to go up to the heavenly planets. They attain the heavenly planets, enjoy there for 10,000 years, and then come back down into a Brahmana Vaishnava or an aristocratic merchant family. And then they're granted that opportunity again to perform pure devotional service. So this is the position of the living entity who has intense material desire, or the yogi, or the fallen yogi, the unsuccessful yogi, one who hasn't come to the platform of pure devotional service. He still has the opportunity to be able to come to the platform of pure devotion. Not everything is lost. Why? Because they are dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If they are dedicated just to austerity itself, if they are just dedicated to the demigods, then their progress in their practice of yoga will be completely lost. The yoga nashta parantapa. Over time, their practice of yoga has no benefit, because that punya is deprived by enjoying that punya, by using up that punya, that acquired pious credits are used up by them when they go and enjoy in the heavenly planets. But the person who performs devotional service, as a result of that, he attains some pious activities, but his how do you say this punya, what is the other punya called, the devotional service? Huh? Sukriti, that's the word? Bhakti Sukriti, yeah. But there is, what's the other word? Punya. There has word punya in it, but it's like there's a word before that, I believe, or word after that. Anyways, I forget. No, it's like, anyways. So the devotional punya, the devotional service that they perform is not burnt up. Okay. So that punya, or that transcendental gain that they've achieved out of performing devotional service is not burnt up in their enjoyment that they get in the heavenly planets. So when they come back down to the earthly planets, they still have the opportunity to take up devotional service exactly where they left off in their last life. Whereas the yogis, fallen yogis, they don't have that opportunity. Fallen yogis who are not performing devotional service. So it is a very precarious condition. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada again and again warned us against this, to protect ourselves from material desire. Lord Chaitanya again and again warns us through the Chaitanya Charitamrita and his instructions to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and our acharyas, that one should guard the Bhakti Lata Bij very carefully. Because the mad elephant, can always walk into this garden and destroy it. Or the weeds can grow and it can be seen as a devotional creeper if it is not nurtured properly, if it is not watched properly by the gardener. So one has to be very cautious in his progress of devotional service, because it is not a joke, it is not it's a very heavy thing, because if you realize what this means, going to the heavenly planets, it's a very heavy position to be in. Because how many years are Srila Prabhupada's books valid for? He said, well, how many years will it be the law books? 10,000 years. For 10,000 years, for the next 10,000 years, Srila Prabhupada's books will be present on this planet prominently. But what happens after 10,000 years? Kali Yuga is in full swing. That means, what is missing? What is? Lord Chaitanya's mercy becomes hidden. Lord Chaitanya's mercy becomes hidden, devotees become hidden. They're still around, but they're just not openly, like right now, devotees are openly present on the streets, chanting and dancing and distributing thousands of books. But in 10,000 years, that will not be available. So one, in this lifetime, performs devotional service with the attitude and intense material desire without even the endeavor to destroy those material desires or overcome those material desires, then he puts himself in a very, very bad position. Because he gets the opportunity to go to heavenly planets and enjoy those material desires. But when he comes back down, sure, he can be born, it says that here, Brahmana, Vaishnava, or an aristocratic merchant. It's not that one exactly is born exactly in a Vaishnava family, because that may be very small amount in 10,000 years. So one is born again, and even if one is born in a Brahmana Vaishnava family, we can see, as Mahotsa Prabhu was describing this morning, it's not that pure devotional service is guaranteed. It's guaranteed that you'll be born in a situation where you might get the opportunity, you'll get the opportunity. But if that material desire is still very intense, then one can fall again. He falls very far away now. It becomes a slippery slope. Everybody's heard that term. So you go up, you come back down, and if you don't get fixed up in that, then it's just downhill from there. It just keeps going downhill. Because at that point, you've become pulled by the material desire, and your devotional service is not at all, does not become the prominent aspect of your life in any way. It becomes a side thing, or maybe not even a thing in time. So a living entity, or the devotee who's performing devotional service, has to be very careful in performing bhakti without this material desire. So Srila Prabhupada, in this regard, has said a few things, as we quoted this morning. I think 80%, I found that 80% of the devotees will go to the heavenly planets. 80% of the devotees within the Krishna consciousness movement will go to the heavenly planets. What does that mean? Well, you can see that there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. What do you speak about 80%? Now you look at it, it's almost like difficult to find those. Some may even go to hell, he's saying. For sure. There's no doubt about that, actually. So 80% of devotees would go to heavenly planets. That is a lot. So if we look around, no, not that I'm saying all the devotees here will go to heavenly planets, but just to do the math, if you look around, there's about 22, how many are in here? Like 20? I don't know. I don't want to count right now, but I guess I hold 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. Yes, 17. 17. Wait. So out of the 80% will go to the heavenly planets, but that doesn't particularly mean that the 20% will go to the spiritual world. You understand? Just because you go to just because 80% go to the heavenly planets doesn't mean like there's like those who go to hell. Okay, that's part of the 80%. Okay, but it's like it's very small actually. The platform of pure devotional service. It's not everybody comes up to that platform. Ideally, everybody should come up to that platform, but it's it's practically seen in our lives that, material desire practically takes over and is present throughout our lives, especially if we're not performing this Tivra Bhakti, one-pointed attention Bhakti. So Rameshwar Prabhu, who was Swami at the time, I believe, asked Prabhupada, devotees once told me, you said that demigods like that, like this movement very much, so that they are standing in line to take birth in the Krishna consciousness movement. Is that true? Srila Prabhupada, yes. They like to come here on this planet, just like your Krishna conscious men. You are very much enthusiastic to go to India. India has no mature attraction. But why our men want to go to India in spite of so many difficulties? Similarly, in the heavenly heavenly planet, they are very much engrossed with material happiness, that there is no facility. But here there is facility on this earth. Bhurloka, Bhogeshwara Prasaktanam Tyakpaharata Chetasam. One who is too much attached to material convenience and everything, they have no opportunity for Krishna consciousness. Therefore, material life and spiritual life go ill together. They go ill together. Why? Because it simply puts one under the platform of this attachment, too much attachment to material convenience and everything. They have no opportunity for Krishna consciousness. If we are attracted towards convenience in this material world, to be comfortable within this material world, eventually it will lead us to have no opportunity to perform Krishna consciousness. That's why Prabhupada said one should not, it's known that within devotional service that one should not be comfortable, and we can see within the movement of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he very much disliked this. He very much disliked his disciples becoming comfortable, that they have built these temples, and now they are fighting over which room they should sleep in, which room is mine. They're fighting over this. This is, sell all the temples, sell the marble in the temples. I want to print books. So comfort, or attachment to that comfort may come as a result of devotional service, but attachment to that is, it eventually leads to that, and if that is not checked at all, it leads us to want to having no opportunity for Krishna consciousness. Not having a proper opportunity to perform Krishna consciousness. So, when they are thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasures, and the result of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. So only by this process, we only come to the platform of achieving birth and death. By this process of being attached to our comfortable situation. Therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur always wanted to keep his debt on the disciples' head, because they would have to work, that they would not become lazy. Because once you build a nice place and you have a nice rooms and you have nice facilities, then it becomes very easy to just become relaxed. Strong men create good times. Good times creates bad times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create bad times. So we have to make sure that it is always hard. Therefore, Prabhupada said, this is a pushing movement. We are pushing. My spiritual master is pushing me, and I'm pushing you. And you, similarly, should push also. This is a pushing movement. What is that push to? It's push to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And people do not like it. Therefore, those who come here with the idea of enjoying, those who come here with the idea of being comfortable, I'm sorry, you're not going to last. Maybe you'll last a week. Maybe. So therefore, even those who have material desire, sometimes we can see that they have some motive. We say, come, you think you can enjoy here. Yes, all the facilities are there. All the facilities are there. The devotees are given proper care, insurance, dental, great vehicles, great prasadam, such and such. It's easy to become just relaxed. Okay, now I have this position. Now I've attained a platform where I don't have to work a job. No boss is going to fire me. Now I can just perform the bare minimum and go on in life. But this is not accepted by our acharyas. This is not accepted by the Krishna consciousness movement. This will simply lead to what? A place where there will be no opportunity for devotional service, which is becoming more and more prominent within our Krishna consciousness movement. There is no opportunity to perform devotional service. Why? Because it's come to the platform of where there is no devotional service being performed within the movement. Where what activities are going on are simply on the platform of sensual desire. The kirtans are like that, as Mahotsa Prabhu was explaining. The aspects of devotional service have become so tainted with the desire for name, fame, adoration, it's not defined as devotional service by our acharyas. So why is that come about? For that desire to become comfortable. You see this within different, as Koki Prabhu was saying, he's traveled around different parts of the world. Similarly, I've seen different things within my life growing up around the movement. And it's seen that those who are trying to attain a comfortable position, it destroys that opportunity for others to perform devotional service also, not just for themselves. Just like there's so many, as my own life is an example of that. My parents are our own, great example of those who are just after material desire, and for that, they perform devotional service. Just like performing devotional service to come to Australia. Okay, yeah, if I become a pujari at the temple and worship the deity, then my family can come to Australia and get a visa and live a happy life. So on that platform they came. And what is the temple become? It's just a place where there's some worship going on. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur does not approve of this. Where the temple is just for worship and there's no Sankirtan going on. Srila Prabhupada himself doesn't approve of this. But it's completely based on what? That based on, let's just get some donation and keep the temples going, not for preaching. And Bengali and Nepalese and Indians and so many others, they can come and get, not all the devotees are like that. This is very important. There's those devotees who are from those places also, who are serious in devotional service, are of topmost character, please understand. But we can see prominently within the West of Krishna consciousness movement, that they come and they just worship the deity and perform devotional service for the sake of getting their material situation. And so they lose the platform of devotion for them, devotional service, opportunity to perform devotional service for themselves and for others too. Because what happens, the temples become just a place of Hindu worship. There's no philosophy, there's no real philosophical discussions of what real Krishna consciousness is. There's no real preaching going on. There's no book distribution going on. So then it becomes a place where it's just, if you walk in and you're of a different race, you're looked down upon. Just like Bhakti Nick has this experience, going to a temple, which by the philosophy of the books is meant to be not off the bodily platform, but you go and you sit down to take prasadam next to another devotee, and they get up and leave.
That's so messed up.
This is what it comes to when you just want everything to be comfortable. When you want things to be comfortable, when you want a situation to be very comfortable, you get to a situation where the platform of devotional service, or the opportunity for devotional service, becomes covered up more and more and more. So that's also the symptoms of Kali, that as it progresses, as there's more material life rampant, the devotional service becomes more and more covered up. The opportunities for devotional service become limited. Therefore, it is very important to create a bubble of Vaikuntha, association of Vaishnavas who are pure at heart, who have the proper conception of devotional service and are working towards that, understanding that we do have material desire under the guidance of the pure devotee. So we can see such a person who has fallen down. So there's two types of people that Srila Prabhupada talks about. Those who perform devotional service for a short amount of time, and then those who do perform devotional service for a very extended period of time, but due to material desire, they're not able to particularly overcome those material desires. So Prabhupada says about after prolonged life, the yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planets where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, one is sent back to this planet to take birth in the family of righteous Vaishnava or of aristocratic merchants.
Next verse speaks about
The long one?
Atava yoginam kulito.
Let me see here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next verse, just commenting on this, that it grants one, actually one is born in the family of transcendentalists. So it is a guarantee, but we see in Bharat Maharaj's pastimes, this is an interesting case. Because Bharat Maharaj, this is such all the devotees should read through this particular section of the Srimad Bhagavatam again and again, because Srila Prabhupada stresses the importance of being strict in the performance of devotional service here. So just to give some context, while in the prime of his life, the great Maharaj Bharat gave up everything because he was fond of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uttama Shloka. He gave up his beautiful wife, nice children, great friends, an enormous empire. Although these things were very difficult to give up, Maharaj Bharat was so exalted that he gave them up just as one gives up stool after evacuating. Such was the greatness of his majesty. So this is the platform Bharat Maharaj was on. Not only that, it is described a little bit later on. I don't think I'll be able to find that. Maybe I will. Okay, here. He dropped all of these things to go and perform this intense devotional service to the Lord. And this is the platform he was on. I'm going to read this out here. The most exalted devotee, Maharaj Bharat, in this way engaged constantly in devotional service of the Lord. Naturally, his love for Vasudeva, Krishna, increased more and melted his heart. Consequently, he gradually lost all attachment for regulative duties. The hairs of his body stood on end, and all the ecstatic bodily symptoms were manifest. Tears flowed from his eyes, so much so that he could not see anything. Thus, he constantly meditated on the reddest lotus feet of the Lord. At that time, his heart, which was like a lake, was filled with the water of ecstatic love. When his mind was immersed in that lake, he even forgot the regulative service to the Lord. So, here Bharat Maharaj is on a very exalted platform. He's on the platform of perfection in devotional service. His heart is melted by remembering the Lord, by being absorbed in the Lord. But then we see what is going on in the next chapter here. My dear king, one day after finishing his morning duties, evacuating, urinating and bathing, Maharaj Bharat sat down on the bank of the river Gandaki for a few minutes and began chanting his mantra, beginning with Onkara. O king, while Bharat Maharaj was sitting on the bank of the river, a doe, being very thirsty, came to drink. While the doe was drinking with great satisfaction, a lion, which was very close, roared very loudly. This was frightful to every living entity, and it was heard by the doe. By nature, the doe was always afraid of being killed by others, and it was always looking about suspiciously. When it heard the lion's tumultuous roar, it became very agitated, looking here and there with disturbed eyes. The doe, although it had not successfully satisfied itself by drinking water, suddenly leaped across the river. The doe was pregnant, and when it jumped out of fear, the baby deer fell from its womb into the flowing waters of the river. Being separated from its flock and distressed by its miscarriage, the black doe, having crossed the river, was very much distressed. Indeed, it fell down in a cave and it died immediately. The great King Bharat, while sitting on the bank of the river, saw the small deer, bereft of its mother, floating down the river. Seeing this, he felt great compassion. Like a sincere friend, he lifted the infant deer from the waves and, knowing it to be motherless, brought it to his ashram. Gradually, Maharaj Bharat became very affectionate toward the deer. He began to raise it and maintain it by giving it grass. He was always careful to protect it from the attacks of tiger and other animals. When it itched, he petted it, and in this way he tried to keep it in a comfortable condition. He sometimes kissed it out of love, being attached to raising the deer. Maharaj Bharat forgot the rules and regulations for the advancement of spiritual life, and he gradually forgot to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After a few days, he forgot everything about his spiritual advancement. to read the purport. From this, we can understand how we have how we have to be very cautious in executing our spiritual duty by observing the rules and regulations and regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If we neglect doing this, we will eventually fall down. We must rise early in the morning, bathe, attend Mangala Arati, worship the deities, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, study the Vedic literatures, and follow the rules prescribed by the Acharyas and the spiritual master. If we deviate from this process, we may fall down, even though we may be very highly advanced. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Yagya Dana Tapa Karma Nityajyam Karyam Evatat Yagyo Danam Tapaschaiva Pavanani Manishinam. Act of sacrifice, charity and penance are not to be given up, but should be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity and penance purify even the great soul. Even if one is in the renounced order, he should never give up the regulative principles. He should worship the deity and give his time and life to the service of Krishna. He should also continue following the rules and regulations of austerity and penance. These things cannot be given up. One should not think oneself very advanced simply because one has accepted the sannyas order. The activities of Bharat Maharaj should be carefully studied for one's spiritual advancement. So, in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada is very heavy in speaking about this philanthropy. That here in this next verse, in the next two verses, even though one is in the renounced order, one who is advanced certainly feels compassion for suffering living entities. One should certainly neglect his own personal interests, although they may be very important to protect one who has surrendered. Maya is very strong. In the name of philanthropy, altruism, and communism, people are feeling compassion for suffering humanity throughout the world. Philanthropists and altruists do not realize that it is impossible to improve people's material conditions. Material conditions are already established by the superior administrations according to one's karma. They cannot be changed. The only benefit we can render to the suffering being is to try to raise them to spiritual consciousness. Material comforts cannot be increased or decreased. It is therefore said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Tal labhate dukhavad anyatah sukham. One, as far as material happiness is concerned, that comes without effort, just as tribulations come without effort. Material happiness and pain can be attained without endeavor. One should not bother for material activities. If one is at all sympathetic or able to do good to others, he should endeavor to raise people to Krishna consciousness. In this way, everyone advances spiritually by the grace of the Lord. For our instruction, Bharat Maharaj acted in such a way. We should be very careful not to be misled by so-called welfare activities conducted in bodily terms. One should not give up his interest in attaining the favor of Lord Vishnu at any cost. Generally, people do not know this or they forget it. Consequently, they sacrifice their original interest, the attainment of Vishnu's favor, and engage in philanthropic activities for bodily comfort. So it is very important to understand that Prabhupada is very heavy in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, saying that one should not falsely become compassionate because this is another form of sense gratification. This is another form of actually cultivating material desire. As of course, this is, as Srila Prabhupada comments here, is a pastime being performed by the Bharat Maharaj for the sake of teaching us. But you can see how he falls a prey to his, you could say, he's displaying this pastime to material desire here. And to how he completely, as this verse before we were reading says that he forgot everything about his spiritual advancement. And what did he think about? He said, the great King Maharaj Bharat began to think, alas, this helpless young deer, by the force of time and agent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has now lost its relatives and friends and has taken shelter of me. It does not know anyone but me, as I have become its father, mother, brother, and relative. The deer is thinking in this way and it has full faith in me. It does not know anyone but me. Therefore, I should not be envious and think that for the deer my own welfare will be destroyed. I should certainly raise, protect, gratify, and fondle it. When it has taken shelter with me, how can I neglect it? Even though the deer is disturbing my spiritual life, I realize that a helpless person who has taken shelter cannot be neglected. That would be a great fault. So that similarly, the devotee has that, those conditions, so those who are aspiring for pure devotional service, we also have this side of personality. We have that prominently in our life. We are desiring for material desire. We are wanting material desire and trying to And we should not give shelter to that. Our mind should not give shelter to that mind which wants to enjoy materially. We should not give shelter to it. Here, Bharat Maharaj is giving shelter to this deer. He's thinking, yes, I shall give shelter to it. And I shall protect it, gratify it, and fondle it. But what was the result? He had forgot everything. And what did he do? Due to attachment for the deer, Bharat Maharaj laid down with it, walked about with it, bathed with it, and even ate with it. Thus his heart became bound to the deer in affection. When Bharat Maharaj wanted to enter the forest to collect kusha grass, flowers, wood, leaves, fruit, roots, and water, he would fear the dogs, jackals, tigers, and other ferocious animals might kill the deer. He would therefore always take the deer with him when entering the forest. When Maharaj Bharat was actually worshipping the Lord or was engaged in some ritualistic ceremony, although his activities were unfinished, he would still at intervals get up and see where the deer was. In this way, he would look for it. And then, when he could see the deer was comfortably situated, his mind and heart would be very satisfied, and he would bestow his blessings upon the deer, saying, "My dear calf, may you be happy in all respects." It's also mentioned somewhere that when he would perform his intense meditation, he would only be thinking about the deer. Okay, when I placed all the ingredients on the kusha grass, the deer... Anyway, so then he loses this deer, and it's mentioned that he starts to he starts to speak like a madman. The deer goes away. So because the deer, he chastises the deer, and the deer runs away. And then, this is how it starts, that when I placed all the sacrificial ingredients on the kusha grass, the deer, when playing, would touch the grass with his teeth and thus pollute it. When I chastised the deer by pushing it away, it would immediately become fearful and sit motionlessly, exactly like a son of a saintly person. Thus it would stop its play. So I think he ran away. Yeah, it's ran away after that. Okay, anyways, the point is being made here. So, Bharat Maharaj, while performing on the platform of pure devotional service, practically, his heart is melted, his heart is full of, ocean of love of God, but due to compassion towards this deer, he completely falls away from devotional service. So this situation, Srila Prabhupada warns to the devotees, can happen to anyone. One should never think himself to be above Maya. One should never think himself to be on the Vishnu Maya platform. What is it? Vishnu? Is that the word? Vishnu Maya platform. One should never think himself, oh, now I've conquered material nature. This is Krishna's nature. Krishna can show us, well, okay, you think you're so great. As Bharat Maharaj in this pastime, he's considering himself, well, I'm the father, I'm this protector. I'm the person that this deer taken shelter of. I shall give it protection. So he's lost the conception of who is the real enjoyer, who is the real worshipper, who is the real father, who is the real brother, who is the real friend of the living entity. So in this way, Bharat Maharaj loses his complete direction in devotional service, his Tivrena Bhakti Yogana, his intense performance of devotional service, and falls away. And at the time of death, all he thinks about is the deer. And so in the next life, he's born as a deer. But because of his prolonged practice of devotional service, he's able to remember everything. And so on that platform, when he's able to do that, he goes and takes shelter of the Brahmanas as a deer. And he's sacrificed, is that right? Or he just throughout his life? I don't know. I thought, I was just, So I thought, but he just performs devotion. He just hears from the Brahmanas, and he only eats dry leaves.
He keeps his ear right outside the place that they give discourses.
So in this way, here is mentioned that remaining in the ashram, the great king Bharat Maharaj was now carefully not falling victim to bad association. Without disclosing it to his past to anyone, he remained in the ashram and ate dry leaves only. He was not exactly alone, for he had the association of the super soul. In this way, he waited for death in the body of a deer. Bathing in that holy place, he finally gave up that body. So he gives up that body and then attains the platform of Jad Bharat. And then, obviously there's so many amazing discourses with King Rahugana and amazing pastimes that go through there. But it just shows that what the difficulty of fallen yogi has to go through. One who just deviates from devotional service slightly, that's someone who is actually like on the platform of perfection, practically speaking, what he has to go through still, 2 more lives within the material world. Well, what to speak of those who just perform devotional service for some time with intense material desire? We haven't attained any level of the symptoms that Bharat Maharaj is being described for. So one has to be very careful in performing his devotional service, because if you examine this pastime, the only issue that was there actually was that Bharat Maharaj didn't have association with devotees. Because if he had the association of devotees, what would have happened? Imagine somebody bought a little cute dog here. No. Exactly. He said, look, this cute dog is very alone. We should be compassionate. We should take care of it. I will take care of it. Just let it be. Who? Oh yeah, he did. He did come with 2 dogs. But I'll take care of it. It needs a master. There's no shelter for it to go. Immediately the devotee is like, hey, look. Let it go through. Let it go through what it has to go through, and that is explained in this pastime. That Bharat Maharaj became falsely compassionate. This is called false compassion. Although the Vaishnava is very compassionate within the heart, his compassion is not for material compassion. So, practically speaking, people would say, what kind of spiritualist are you? And what the Bhagavatam is saying is Bharat Maharaj should have just let the lion eat that little deer.
Or just let it do its thing.
Just let it do its thing. But because of his false compassion, so much trouble he had to go through. So we're very lucky in this regard and there's also the pastimes of Ajamil, that can be described, but it's getting late. But in this platform of being around devotees, I'm not too sure who speak of this in the Bhagavatam, I forget. But this verse comes, the devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord can very easily overcome hard-knotted desires for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult, the non-devotees, the jnanis and yogis, although trying to stop the waves of sense gratification, cannot do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Hang on a sec. So that is there, but there is another quote that I had, where it described that so my dear king, this is Sanat Kumara speaking, actually, in the 4th canto. My dear king, the false ego of a human being is so strong that it keeps him in mature existence as if tied up by a strong rope. Only the devotees can cut off the knot of this strong rope very easily by engaging themselves in Krishna consciousness. Others who are not in Krishna consciousness but are trying to become great mystics or great ritualistic performers cannot advance like the devotees. Therefore, it is the duty of everyone to engage himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness in order to be freed from the tight knot of false ego and engagement in material activities. It's very important to understand this principle that the association of devotees, it is the most important principle of our life. Because amongst that, in that association, everything else goes on. Because you can go and try to perform Bhagavad Shravan independently. You can go and try to perform Harinam independently. You can, go to the Dham, there's always devotees there. But even in the Dham, you can go and be alone. Right? You can go and try to perform devotional service in the Dham independently. You can perform all the 5 most prominent aspects of devotional service independently, but they have no use. They will not give you the proper fruit that is desired in devotional service. That fruit that Krishna will enjoy. That will not give you that. What will give you that? Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi. Sadhu Sangha Lava Matra, sarva siddhi hoy, because the sadhu will give you perfection of all of those things. Why? Because in the association of sadhus, all of those things are prominent. There's no question of not having Harinam when there's sadhus. There's no question of not having Bhagavad Shravan. That place where those sadhus reside is the place of pilgrimage. It is Mathura Vas. It is the place to reside. It is the holy place. So association of devotees is the most important principle, because by doing that, what do? They cut off the knot of this strong rope. What is that? That strong rope that is, the false ego, which so much desires to enjoy this material world. They cut those to pieces. So those who have this desire, I need to go away from devotees. I need some time. Okay, you need some time, but just time to do what? Time to do what? What is that time? That time is simply to allow the material desires to become greater and greater in one's heart. Because there's nobody to cut it. Who's going to cut it for you? Yourself. You think, yes, I'm going to read this Bhagavatam and cut the knot of material existence. Yes, that is there. But the Bhagavatam says that has to be there, done in the association of devotees. Therefore, the sages in Naimisharanya approach Sutta Goswami. And that's what the sages, they're together in association, approach Sutta Goswami for this. It is never done alone. It is not possible to do alone. It is not advised to do alone. Every moment and every opportunity we have to be amongst devotees, we should be amongst them. We're not saying that, don't go in your room and read. You have to just sit with devotees. We're saying don't leave the association of devotees. We should desire to always be in that association when it is possible. When it is possible to have that association and we choose to leave it, then we're simply putting ourselves at the hands of material nature, at the grip, at the jaws of material nature. And then the protection may not be there, because we've willingly thrown ourselves into that pool of material existence. Willingly. Whereas when it is done, out of need, it's like sometimes devotees are in certain situations within their life where they're not able to have like personal association. Krishna protects them. But if one goes out of one's way to get out of the association of devotees when it is available, then Krishna is not very pleased with that person. Because Krishna, even the Supreme Personality of Godhead desires the association of his devotees. He relishes that. So for us to think, I have to do, service, I have to associate with devotees, I just want to go to my own place, I just want to read. And then you find out, how much did you read? How much did you read? Okay, yeah, you read less than you would read while you were in association with devotees, exactly. What is the use? What is the use of this? What is this? This is very important to understand. It takes a level of surrender to come to that point of realizing that. So we should, and to do that, we have to hang around. Hang around devotees. We have to allow them to cut the knot of material existence. We cannot just do it by. That's why this Ritvik thing is so bogus. There's Guru, there's Srila Prabhupada, and there's me. Actually, even within the tradition of lineage of, we have our own spiritual master, but it's not that it's me and the Guru. It's me, and there's more prominently in our lives, we see that the Vaishnavas around us are taking charge of our spiritual life. So we should understand these principles very importantly in order to avoid such a position, to attaining a point where we won't have an opportunity for devotional service 10,000 years later when we come back down from the heavenly planets. You're not going to be able to chant Gaura Arti. How ecstatic is chanting Gaura Arti? Hearing about the beauty of Lord Chaitanya, that he's garlanded and his millions of Cupid, he's shining like the millions of Cupid. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving us direct vision. You will not be able to do all of these things. You will not be able to go out in Harinam. You will not be able to sit in such a nice place and chant Hare Krishna and be amongst such nice association. This will not be available to malechas like us. It'll be a very difficult position to obtain. So therefore, right now, when we have the great fortune, we should utilize it. We should understand the great fortune we have. We should rack our minds and beat our minds with shoes and sticks to understand, hey, look, this is a fortunate position. Hey, look, this is a fortunate position. You have an opportunity to do that for the rest of your next million lifetimes that we may have if we don't do this right. But this is very rare. We cannot do this at any other time. This is, especially the fact that, there's like some sort of, that as a result there's some punya. So we're in a very weird, difficult situation if we don't get it right. So we have to really get it right. We really have to intensely desire to get it right. And I study Prabhupada's books amongst the association of devotees and come to this platform of proper surrender, come to the platform of where in our next lifetime, if we're not successful, we don't go to the heavenly planets, but we're again just immediately born in a family of transcendentalists and can perform Sankirtan. If we're not completely successful, or some of those, they may be completely successful and just come back and go on performing Sankirtan. There is those too. They just want to engage in the Sankirtan movement. And though for those, it's not conditional. They're not born by force, they're born by choice. They're directly empowered by the Supreme Personality Godhead to come and engage in that. For them, there's no question of fall down at all. So this material desire should be very much guarded against. We're in this line of this Gaudiya Vaishnava line that we come under in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, and our own spiritual master. We are very much against this acquiring and harboring or extending our material desires. We're very much against that. Therefore, he was speaking about this principle. Lord Chaitanya is very pleased by renunciation. Very much pleased. You can read in Raghunath Das Goswami's pastimes, the greatest exhibition of renunciation. So we should renounce. We should not become attached. We should renounce these ideas of enjoyment. So I'll end my class there. If there's any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. I'm sorry I've gone so... Huh? Yeah, you can go on.
One small, correction that, it's not that the devotees are not performing devotional service. We don't look at it as devotional service at all. Our acharyas have taught us to look at it as mixed devotional service. It's like karma mixture bhakti. So that's
sorry.
No. And is this on?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, a few points is, one thing, yes, Srila Prabhupada said, that, don't have ISKCON on the heavenly planets. Mm-hmm. Don't make an ISKCON on the heavenly planets, Prabhupada said that. But Prabhupada also said for most of his disciples, maximum 3 lives. Mm-hmm. And they'll go back. But anyway, it depends on if they follow. And then, I also wanted to back this in, some may go to hell. Why? Because, in the 10 offenses to avoid while chanting the holy name, we recite, Namno balad yasya hi papa buddhir, na vidyate tasya yamar hi shuddhi. Not even in hell are there punishments to take care of someone who's so, sinister. And one thing also I was thinking about is, yes, there's so many people who come to enjoy in this world, and they try to enjoy. But I was really thinking, even if your desire is to enjoy the material, you're really a fool to try to enjoy here. Right? How much material enjoyment can you really get in this realm? There's nothing. The best thing to do is to perform austerity, no matter what. Even if your goal is to enjoy, this is not the place to do it. Because it's just, especially in Kali Yuga, how long is your life? How much can you enjoy? How much longevity will your senses have? It's all just, it's such a way. Don't do it here, just, even if you're full of material desires, come and join the Krishna consciousness movement. Because even if your goal is to enjoy materially still, you perform Tivra Bhakti, and then, if you still haven't been purified, Krishna will give you an opportunity. So you've been purified, even better. Mm-hmm. So that's why, I remember when there was this park near Ponds where we used to say, I think it was Freedom Park or something like that. It's a beautiful park, and it has big trees and all that. And I remember there was a beautiful park, nice sunset was going on, and there was a young girl and a boy that were sitting and enjoying. That was looking at the painting. He was such fools. You're trying to enjoy here. Like, what's there to enjoy here? It's just it's so petty. The enjoyment here is so petty. But there's so much greater levels of enjoyment. And what to speak of enjoyment that arises from renunciation and detachment? It's even higher. And one amazing. Can you go to the Sanskrit, please? Of the previous verse. Yeah. So if you look at the Sanskrit here, you say Shruchinam Shri Matam. So one of the ways, also one of the acharyas, they break it down is Shri Matam can also mean a house in which Shri is worshipped. As Sri Vaishnavas look at it from that point of view, where they see that a house where Shri is worshipped, Shri Matam. So everything you drink is actually like Charanamrit and everything like that. So that's a whole other way of breaking down that Sanskrit thing. Shri is Lakshmi Devi and Mata is a house. So one may be born in a house where of Sri Vaishnavas, Sri Matam.
Wow.
It's anyway. When I heard that, it was freaking amazing.
Yeah,
Wow,
okay.
it's amazing explanation. Anyway.
Anything else? Yes, bro.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Just have a question. So in the class you were talking about, like if we deviate a little bit from Krishna consciousness, there's going to be big problems. And Prabhupada talks about that in his purports. So just one devotee was mentioned to me one time. This is just like an example that, he was distributing books somewhere, and there was another devotee distributing books. And this devotee that was distributing books doesn't really follow any of the Krishna conscious principles, whatever. He gets up when he wants, he eats karmi grains, he lives like a free life. And so that devotee that doesn't follow anything was distributing more books than that individual. So he was confused and thinking, I'm struggling so much in Krishna conscious, I'm following everything, but this guy's doing more books than me. So my question is that we may be executing Krishna conscious and following everything, but it seems like sometimes there's people that don't really follow anything, but they're doing better than us. So what's actually the situation?
One has to be an introspective person, understand what's actually going on. It's if the devotee sees like that, then the reason I'm doing, this person is following and he's distributing more, not following and distributing more books than me, it doesn't make any, it's how do we understand that? How do we understand that that I'm not able to distribute more books than this person even though I'm following? It's seen okay, this person has some ability to do that, but it's not that he's completely run off the devotional platform. So we see that the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not particularly with him. Because when we're thinking, okay, the only reason I'm not distributing so many books is because I don't have mercy. But actually the real mercy is that you're out there, you're following the principles, and you're following your spiritual master. And that you're able to do day in, day out. That's the real mercy. It's not, okay, how many books you do is not the be-all and end-all of what Krishna consciousness is. Krishna consciousness means hey, I'm out there and I'm following the orders of my guru. Now whether this is I'm doing huge or I'm doing very small, but I'm out here doing it, that is the real mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But a person who is situated on that point of just okay, he can distribute so many books, it just may be it's just a material thing for him. He's lucky that he's distributing books and he gets benefit for that. But for his own consciousness is that of just trying to enjoy Krishna, not give enjoyment to Krishna. So whereas the devotee who is actually distributing books but is not doing big, he's giving enjoyment to Krishna. So we should see what is giving enjoyment to Krishna, not what is giving enjoyment to me. Oh look, I'm doing so many books, therefore it's better for me. But why is it not? That may be the situation. It's just okay. That person may be able to. Maybe a person who's just he's been doing it for years and years, and in that point he learned the art of book distribution, but now he's misusing it. And that may go on, that he may be able to still distribute so many books because he's got the ability to speak to people. But a real book distributor is seen by his ability to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness. So one should understand that it's not it's not a fruitive thing. It's not compared to by numbers. This person has got the mercy because he's distributing more books than me. It's like that's like it's also like a little bit of like can be like a mundane perspective if it's not seen that like that person is not following the principles. So he's distributing a lot of books, therefore he doesn't have to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness. He can do whatever he wants. So it's a trip. You have a lot to say about that.
You know, we can also see in the long run. I know exactly which individual you're talking about, and the place where that individual distributes books, the public hates the devotees. Like Jacob was there with me, you, me, Abhi, and Matsya. You know, we were in that place, and the public hates the devotees. They hate the devotees, and then it just so happened that while I was distributing books, I ran into this guy. I never met him in my life, and I was hoping I never would. But you know, I ran into him, and then he always made like envious comments on like, you know, my book distribution online and all. He's like, okay, what? Let me see you do it. Let me see you distribute Bhagavatams. Come on, let's go, let's do it. And in front of him, I distributed 2 Bhagavatams and schooled the guy. Completely schooled him, like, you know, and just he got completely crushed over, you know. And their time comes, you know, and they get completely flopped, you know, in front of their face is completely destroyed. And you can see that the results are they're actually insane. They lose their mind, you know. Like you can say, oh, all right, he's distributing more books. He may be good. He may be like a salesman, you know. He may be just like very expert in manipulating people, you know. But then, you know, what is, you know, it's good that he's distributing Prabhupada. Instead of selling makeup, he's distributing Prabhupada's books, and that's really good. But, you know, we can see in the long run, you know, what is this person doing? Like, you know, how pleased are the acharyas, you know, with the devotee who's following their instructions than someone who's not following their instructions? Because the devotee who's following the 4 regs, chanting the 16 rounds, and like, you know, struggling out there and doing all this, they are performing pure devotional service, whereas this person at best is performing mixed devotional service. So what pleases Krishna more? And when their time came, they got schooled like anything, you know. The guy's like, yeah, I've been distributing books all day. I got like, you know, $50 or something. In front of him, you know, it was $700, $800 in front of him, you know, in front of his face, you know. You know, and you know, they have that time, you know. But you can see that's mixed devotional service and this pure devotional service. So we can see the Lord Chaitanya is more pleased with pure devotional service.
That's why it's important not to like association is important, because like if one is a neophyte and he sees that he's alone and he says, oh, this person's distributing more books, he's more advanced, but then he can't recognize that this person is not following the principles, then that person becomes greatly in danger. But if he has devotees with him, he says, oh, look, this person, this is the proper understanding, then even the person who's just a beginner can understand, oh, this person's a fool. He's a fool, number one. You know, he's distributing so many books, but what a great fool he is. And yeah, because he's performing adharma, you go crazy.
Yeah, they tell, you know, we are monks. How are you a monk? What kind of a monk are you? You know, you rascal. If you know, it was any other yoga, these people would be like, you know, hung at the stake. You know, the king would kill these people. So many rascals go around saying, I'm a monk, I'm a monk. Gambling, not following the 4 you're a monk. You're a monk, like, you know, you false enunciate, you know, such nonsense. You know, even in some place where you went, you know, you saw, and they're completely destroying devotional service, what it means to be. You know, someone told Abhimanyu Prabhu, who was distributing books, and they told him that, you know, man, you know, I really had a lot of respect for you guys, but then one day, like, you know, like a few hours after I met you guys were in the same bar as me drinking, you know. What the heck? You know, devotees are doing this. You know, devotees are doing it. Where are they going? Where are they going, you know?
They lose an opportunity for devotional service, and they destroy other persons.
Yeah. What hell awaits such people? You know, and Bahujanma Kariyadi Shravan Kirtan Tabutana Pai Krishna Pade Premutan. It also adds to book distribution also, you know. If you're not like, if you're just doing it as mixed devotional service and just to like, you know, just gratify it's really bad. It's really bad. You know. So it's a mixed batch. You know, so therefore we should be very, you know, serious to follow properly. And when we do so, you know, it comes out in the long run. You know, it comes out in the long run. I doubt if this person ever distributed a Bhagavatam set in his entire life for the death of him.
Yeah, when they stop following the principles properly, it turns into that material sort of, even book distribution just turns into money making.
Yeah.
And we've seen that.
Yeah.
We've seen that so prominently. We've seen it recently. We've seen it on the long run. Book distribution just turns into a money making thing. Oh, I can make money. Okay. Then you can sell anything.
Nose dive.
So, okay. Anything else? Chandan Prabhu?
Prabhu, I was happy you went over that narration of Maharaj Bharat and the example you gave in the Bhagavatam about him leaving his kingdom and his,
family, beautiful wife,
yeah, just
children,
as one gives up
money.
stool. I mean, of course, as devotees, we have to practice vairagya and vidya and be properly situated in that understanding. But some person may come and they say, well, just a new person picking up, for instance, coming back, this narration is given in there. Someone may say like, oh, you people are very fanatical. You're treating your family like stool. How would you explain that? But, I mean, as devotees, we understand that renunciation is necessary, but it's such a powerful analogy.
Yeah, I mean, one should be intelligent. That is not saying, just like he gave up stool, just like one gives up stool after one evacuates, just like that he gave up family life, and it's material. Therefore, it's compared like that material relationship that's given up. So yeah, it's just that we explain it to them. It's like, yeah, this is what it is, and so that's what the Bhagavatam says, and this is why.
But the point is we don't treat them.
Yeah, we don't treat them like stool. We very much value our parents, and we speak to them, and we may not even preach Krishna consciousness to them. A lot of us we just speak to them because they're our parents and have some affection towards them, and give them prasadam and do what we can for them in this life. So we don't that's also seen that we don't particularly, we don't treat him we don't flush him down the toilet, we don't. So that's an important point. Another important point is that Bharat Maharaj gave all of those things up. It's just like how amazing is that? And similarly, we've done that in our own lives. So it's a very difficult platform to come to actually. There's more difficult things that come after that, but it's really rare. Okay, anything from the Matajis? Yes.
I have two, but one of them is really short.
Sure.
The first one is, it's kind of a scary thing that 80% of the devotees are going to the heavenly planet. And so if, after 10,000 years, Srila Prabhupada's books aren't going to be so prominent, then what is the situation for those devotees who do have to come back? How can they take to Krishna consciousness? And
that's a good question. There's some section of Vaishnavas somewhere. But that's why it requires us to be serious within this life. You have something to say about that?
Yeah,
just
one thing, and we should not take advantage of this, but one thing is our Ishtadevata will never abandon.
Mm-hmm.
That if we develop real attachment to Lord Chaitanya, then wherever Lord Chaitanya's movement is, we go to that movement.
Mm-hmm. So the thing is, if you perform devotional service your whole life, we can develop attachment towards it, and we hope to do that as we perform devotional service. Well, Bharat Maharaj, when he was performing his sacrifices and his yajna, he was constantly thinking about his material desires. It's mentioned like that. He would be performing the activity, but his mind would be absorbed in the deer. So we have to really curb that. And that's why the process of devotional service is there. Now 80%, yeah, it's a little discouraging, but we should try to be a part of that 20%, endeavor to be a part of that. And that's done by just remaining in the association. Believe me, if you just remain in the association of Vaishnavas who are very intense in their devotional service, you've made it. That's all you have to do is just show up. Hang on the tree. There's just like a unripe mango becomes a ripe mango. You just hang on to the tree, and eventually you'll see. It's even at the time of death, the devotees will be there hopefully be chanting the pure name of Krishna, and you'll go back to Godhead, and that's it. So it's pretty significant that we just don't leave the association. That's very important principle of all of this, is to not waste our human form of life. We can do that by being in association. Believe me, when you're in association, it's very difficult to, fan the fire of your material desire. It's really difficult, especially in the renounced order of life. Everybody's going to constantly be on your case. So if you can similarly live a renounced life in Grihastha ashram also. That's what the Brahmanas do that. Brahmanas live a very simple voluntarily poverty life. Why? Because they're first of all, they're satisfied by that. They just take what they need. Enough to eat, enough to clothe themselves, and that's it. So it's austere, like you were speaking, austerity and penance, but if we just tolerate that, live a very simple life, let the body be maintained nicely, just enough, and go on like that, you'll be good. But if we want opulence and big house and big cars and all of these things, then you can have it, sure, but it's like, and nobody's going to stop you because you're a grihastha and you can do whatever you like. No, nobody's really going to get on your case because you're independent. But it's just got to be careful that we don't end up in a bad situation. That's why he was mentioning the man should be a very strict follower, not to let the woman take over in the relationship, because naturally, as we understand from the Bhagavatam, the nature of trying to enjoy material life is 9 times larger than a man, 9 times lustier than a man. And not in the sense of sex exactly, but in terms of expansion. So it's important for the wife to be sheltered by a husband who is very strict in his following, who is Brahminical in his following, because he will keep everything simple. He'll keep everything, no. He'll simply be very strict, no. We're not getting this, we're not getting that, I'm not doing this, not doing that. That's all. Just live simply, be happy, that's all. So we have to live our lives like that. It's the ideal, but not everybody can be ideal. And what's the second one? I'm sorry, I'm going on so long.
The last question was just your point about devotees who come with material desires. There was a lecture, the Guru Maharaj mentioned that, not all liberated souls are pure devotees. So I was just wondering what the difference between the two.
They may attain different platform of liberations. This is not all pure devotees, not all liberated devotees are pure devotees. Yeah, they may not be like, on the highest platform. Yeah. So there's different platform of liberation also. So there's the different things that is spoken about within the Sri Vaishnava tradition. This is also given that they even have different. What is that? They have some demigod. They worship the demigods with a proper understanding or something. That you're telling me this. They have some. Somebody was telling me something like this. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. So, anyways, but there's some room for that, but it's not particularly like they're not full of material desires. It may not just be like pure love for Krishna, but they may be devoid of material desire completely. Okay, all right, one more, and then I gotta end here. I'm so sorry. Damn. It's 8 o'clock. Generally, we're meant to go to 7:45, so it's not that.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so this question actually is relevant to Avadutta Chandra Prabhu's question. You mentioned false compassion, and I wrote that false compassion is compassion to material things. Yeah. So I'm just a little confused, and please help me to understand that when it comes to the nature of devotees, like we're compassionate to the fallen conditioned souls, and when it comes to family, if you're in a situation where you want to be Krishna conscious, but you're in your material family life, but then even if you are Krishna conscious in a Krishna conscious family, and then even Srila Prabhupada explains that you can be Krishna conscious in any situation. So my question is, like, how do you prevent fall down in both situations, like in family life in general?
In that situation where you're not able to be, in your family is not Krishna conscious, you have to do the best you can. I mean, yes, it's completely independent, but it requires a lot of strength to do that. And so how do you gather that strength? You may not be able to be a full-time devotee, but you may associate with the devotees most of the time. It's not, you may have to live at home with your family, but you may not particularly associate with them, but give your association to them. So you go associate with the devotees, you take their association and take their example as the most prominent thing in your life, and at home you live with that ideal principle that those devotees have taught you. And so in that way you remain safe. But if you are at home and taking the principles that your parents follow, which obviously is not it has anything to do with devotional service, then you're in trouble. So, but the thing is, the association that you're in influences you a lot. So what is Sangha Sanjayate? Yeah. So that association that you're in, that kind of like, that creates what desire you want, what you want in this world. So the association of devotees creates a desire to love Krishna, to serve Krishna. The association of materialists makes us want to enjoy material life. So therefore we have to be prominently associated with devotees and then give our association to the materialists. And so then but that takes a lot of training and a lot of guidance. So that's why ashram, brahmacharya ashram is recommended. Not everyone can have that. So this is the other recommendation. It's like, okay, okay, then if you can't do that, then okay, associate with the devotees as much as possible. And at home, try to give your association. Don't take their association.
Just briefly, quickly, and how do you prevent fall down in an actual Krishna conscious family?
In a Krishna conscious family.
I was trying to get answers for both sides.
Within a Krishna conscious family.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he said, by being Krishna conscious. Like we see, we see two devotees that, their father was very Krishna conscious person and taught them the principles of Krishna conscious, which now they've grown up, and their father, although he's not around anymore, he's passed away, they've understood those principles like very deeply from a young age. Although they didn't particularly practice them and went away for some time from it, but it's like that seed that was planted in the heart is grown. So just keep a Krishna conscious. Like Prabhupada said, go to Mangalarati, follow the principles, and hear Bhagavatam, associate with devotees. That's all. That's it. There's nothing more. Okay. All right. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.